The fourth movement, intermezzo interrotto, interrupted intermezzo, begins with an oboe melody, reminiscent of Romanian folk music. The melody largely consists of just 3 notes from an incomplete diatonic scale. Only the last 2 notes of the melody establish the key, B major. A new melody in violas and violins brings a change of mood. This serenade can be interpreted as expressing Bartok's nostalgia for his homeland. In the central section, the idyllic intermezzo is rudely interrupted by a tawdry-sounding polka. This may be either a quote from Lehar's Merry Widow or a motif already used by Shostakovich in his Leningrad Symphony, probably also for programmatic purposes. At all events, the effect is that of a cruel joke, disrupting the idyllic memories of home.
Hier, das ist wie ein Zitat, also ich meine.
Yes, this is very much like a quotation. It really is very hard to understand what his intentions were. It is humorous, of course, but we don't know what he was making fun of. It's very difficult to fathom. Anyway, we have the serenade, and then this very vulgar interruption. The kind of thing you get in Mahler sometimes. And then he returns to something very, very civilized. So you almost have to exaggerate the contrast, and then we get this.
The fourth movement of the Concerto for Orchestra is frequently referred to as the most programmatic of all, the one where Bartok gives musical expression to the largest number of scenes taken from life. In his program notes, he merely mentions the circular structure of the movement. But he's said to have revealed more of his intentions to the pianist György Sándor, the soloist in the first performance of his third piano concerto. The composer declares his love for his home country, but the serenade is suddenly interrupted by an outburst of brute violence. Coarse men in boots break in on him and even smash his instrument. The finale begins with a strident fanfare from the horns. This whole movement is notable throughout for its whirling dance-like character. The strings play very quick, regular 16th note passages in perpetuum mobile style, a challenge for conductor and orchestra.
I think the last movement of the Concerto for Orchestra was greatly influenced by the virtuosity of the American orchestras. If you look at the violin or the viola part, especially the violin part, right at the beginning of the fifth movement, it makes tremendous demands on the player's dexterity. Also, the atmosphere sometimes changes very drastically and also very unexpectedly. That is what makes it so interesting. Our European orchestras are fully equal to this kind of virtuosity now, but I'm not sure whether they would have been up to it at the time. I think this kind of virtuosity had its origins in America, with Toscanini, Kusevitsky, Stokowski, all those great conductors who aimed at supreme brilliance. But the musical ideas really are typically Hungarian and also typical of Bartok. The virtuosity may be specifically American, but the ideas are genuine Bartok.
Aber die Ideen sind Bartok wirklich.
The first part of the last movement leads into a woodwind fugato in which Bartok returns to the fanfare theme right at the outset. Then the trumpets announce a new pentatonic theme. Shortly afterwards, this theme is used as the subject of a fugue in the strings. After a recapitulation of the dance-like first section, the pentatonic theme in trumpets and strings reappears as a glorious apotheosis in the brass. Never before had Bela Bartok written such triumphant music as in the closing bars of the final movement of the Concerto for Orchestra. In the program notes for the first performance in New York, Bartok outlines the structure and the intentions of his concerto.
The general mood of the work represents, apart from the jesting second movement, a gradual transition from the sternness of the first movement and the lugubrious death song of the third to the life assertion of the last one.